You are looking live inside Fargo's historic Fargo Theater, celebrating 100 years this year. This is the first Fargo Mayoral debate of 2026. We're glad to be with you tonight for this important community conversation on the future of Fargo, North Dakota. I'm Dana Mock, along with Kirsten Keeley from WDAY Television and Forum Communications. We are proud to monitor and take part in this debate tonight, an important conversation for the 5 candidates on the stage and the tens of thousands of people who live in Fargo. You can watch this live on WDAY Extra, WDAY Plus. It's also this live on WDAY Extra, WDAY Plus. It's also streamed on inforum.com and the Chamber's website.
Tonight is really a chance for these candidates to share their perspectives on the issues shaping Fargo's future and leading the city at a pivotal moment for growth, development, and long-term planning for the city of Fargo. Tonight's event is hosted by the Fargo-Moorhead-West Fargo Chamber, the Building Industry Association of the Red River Valley, and the Downtown Community Partnership. We also want to recognize WDAY, WDAY Extra, and Livewire for helping us bring this important debate to you, the audience, through our broadcast and live stream tonight, and to McGough Construction, who's been generous to sponsor tonight's debate.
As we all know, inside the Fargo Theater tonight and at home, Fargo is a growing city. It's attracting new residents with new opportunities, but growth also brings challenges. From housing affordability, workforce pressures, public safety, the budget, and the vitality of downtown, decisions that we will make will impact Fargo for years to come.
Over the next hour and a half tonight, you'll hear from all 5 candidates seeking to lead the city as mayor. Each brings their own perspective, priorities, and vision for how Fargo should move forward. And our goal for tonight is really simple: to give voters a clear, fair, and meaningful look at where each candidate stands on the issues that matter the most. And we'll be asking questions focused on the challenges facing our community, as well as each candidate will have time for those questions to respond.
And we'd like to meet those candidates right now from left to right. Fargo Human Rights Commission Chair, Sekou Sirleaf. Fargo City Commissioner Michelle Turnberg. Fargo City Commissioner Dave Beckborn. State Senator Josh Boucher. Fargo Deputy Mayor Denise Kopak.
What you can expect at home and what the candidates can expect tonight. All the rules have been agreed to by all the candidates, and they are arranged from left to right on stage based on a drawing we had at 5 o'clock. Each candidate is being given 2 minutes for their opening remarks tonight. That will be followed by questions submitted by the chamber, our business community, and curated by us at WDAY.
We don't know, but it might be the only time the candidates agree tonight. They got a broad list of topics. They did not get the questions in advance. The questions will be broken into 2 segments. In the first, each candidate will get 1 minute to answer, and all the candidates will answer the same question. There will be a chance for rebuttals if the candidate is directly mentioned. We will alternate the order of who gets the first response to each question. The second segment is a rapid response segment where answers will be limited to about 15 seconds, as few words and sentences as you can to answer the question, and then we close. The candidates will be given 1 minute for closing remarks.
The candidates are asked not to directly question each other or engage with each other or the audience tonight. They can take notes during the debate, but they were told not to bring any pre-written notes with them. The candidates and we as moderators do have timers here tonight. Hopefully not an issue, but if a candidate goes over their time, their microphone could be muted to allow the discussion to continue in a respectful and productive manner.
We're also asking the audience to refrain from cheering, clapping, or booing during a candidate's response to make sure everyone is heard and to allow for as many questions as possible tonight. Everybody ready? Opening statements, Mr. Sirleaf.
Good evening, Fargo. It is a wonderful thing to be here tonight. I want to say a big thank you to the organizers of this program and the sponsors of this program. Fargo is a great city built by hard-working people who take pride in their families, faith, community, and are looking into the future. As I go around the city, currently the poverty rate in Fargo sits at 12.8%, and which is highly unacceptable. And as I go around the city and talk to young people, I ran into 3 wonderful young people at different times: Kyle, Brandon, and Jessica. And they are all concerned about the same thing. And they ask me questions like, will our streets be safe? Will I be able to afford to live in this city? Will city government ever listen to us? You see, I'm Sekou Solif, and I'm running to be mayor of Fargo. The reason I'm running is because of the concern of these young people and the concern about our seniors and our elders and our law enforcement officers. Fargo belongs to all of us. Fargo can be greater than what it is. I think we can go from good to great if we all come together. I'm a leader who believes in bringing people together and solving problems, real problems, with practical solutions that affect real people. I'm running for safe streets. I'm running for affordable housing. I'm running for a government that listens. I think there's a serious disconnect between City Hall and the people that they lead. We want to bring City Hall back to the people of Fargo so that the people of Fargo can have a say in their government. And the people of Fargo can know what the government is doing, because the people of Fargo are the bosses of Fargo. We are not the bosses. We are public servants, and we need to listen to the people. And because of that, if I'm elected mayor of Fargo, I will make sure I listen to you. I'll make sure we sit at a table and we talk. If we can talk together, we can find a path forward together and make Fargo great for all. Thank you.
Your opening statement, Michelle Turnberg.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for being engaged in our city and caring about this election and your new leadership. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day and coming here and being involved. This kind of feels like old home week with you guys. Just sitting down there, I feel like we should be fighting over the lead story or something. I've lived in Fargo for about 35 years, and I remember Fargo being a place where you could leave your door unlocked, where you knew that the streets would be plowed, the lights would come on, and you felt safe. And I want to make sure that we get back to those basics, that we really focus on public safety and fund our police and our fire and our first responders. I want to make sure that we focus on core city services. Those services that we use every single day should be top priority and absolutely our #1 project. I also want to focus on lowering our exorbitant debt. We are $1.3 billion in debt right now, and that is not sustainable. That has to be addressed and it has to be taken care of, and that's why I want to focus on those core city services, get back to those family values, and have our city be safe. Thank you.
Opening statement from Dave Pepcorn.
I'm Dave Pepcorn, born and raised in Fargo. I graduated from Fargo North. I graduated from North Dakota State. I played football there. I was a captain of the football team in '83. I've been a small business owner since that time, and I love my job. I've been a city commissioner for 16 years, and there's nothing better than being in your hometown and doing all you can to try to make it better. Obviously, I'm a fiscal conservative. That's been my voting record for 16 years. And right now, we have some serious issues. The debt, $1.35 billion, that's not all the debt. We've been downgraded by Moody's, which is a very serious downgrade. We didn't include the diversion, which is $200 to $300 million. We also didn't include the water supply project, which is $50 million. So when you start adding those all together, that's a lot of debt. And what we've been doing now on the city commission, we continue to spend. We got this Moody's downgrade. We did no reductions in spending. And so now the city is going to come to us wanting another 1 cent sales tax extension, which is $34 million a year. Absolutely not. You cannot do that. The taxpayers deserve a reduction. If I'm elected mayor, we will reduce the mill levy, which is what we can control as a city commission. We're also going to reduce our utility fees, which were doubled Obviously, we've had some huge changes. It's already started to be positive. Our new interim chief has already taken action to help us. We have to keep working. There's a whole laundry list of things that we can do as a city to make it more safe, and that's why you need to elect me, because I guarantee you, we will work on that laundry list, and down the road, our downtown is just waiting to come back to life. Right now, you can't turn a corner without being panhandled. We have to solve that. Sorry about that. I hope I didn't go over my time.
Thank you. Your opening statement, Josh Beauchene.
Good evening. First of all, thank you for tonight's hosts, the FM Chamber, Business Association of the Red River Valley, and the Downtown Community Partnership. It's important that we have an opportunity to engage with the public, especially at such a pivotal time in our city's future. I love this city. I have had the opportunity the last 14 years to represent Fargo and Bismarck, where I have tackled issues that are important to our community, but also have improved the quality of life throughout our state. During that time, we have had to deal with budget deficits and budget surpluses. I'm one of the only people on this stage who's had to cut budgets as a part of making sure that we balance the budget in Bismarck. That means real cuts to real services. We can't just cut those in a back room. We have to make sure we're having conversations with the citizens about what is it that you prioritize in terms of what you want for core city services. When I'm not in Bismarck, I have the opportunity to help home buyers and sellers move throughout our metro area. I intimately know every neighborhood across this community because I help people buy homes in every one of these neighborhoods. I know why people choose certain neighborhoods and why they don't choose others. We need to make sure that we continue to provide choice for folks when it comes to housing and make sure that that housing is affordable, whether folks are owning a home or deciding to rent their home. And too many people are feeling trapped in renting when 54% of our population are current renters, with many of whom who would like to own their own home someday. I'm excited for the future of Fargo. We're going to hear through this next 6 weeks a lot about the doom and gloom, but there's nothing but opportunity ahead for us. We have been a community that every time a challenge has been presented to us, we have rallied. We just need the right leadership to be able to champion that and to move us forward with a shared vision that will move us all forward, move us all up, and improve the quality of life of all Fargoans. Thank you, and I appreciate your vote.
Our final opening statement, Denise Kolpak.
Thank you, and for those here in person and online, thank you. And to the sponsors of tonight's debate, thank you. And I'm going to start by acknowledging that I can be a bit wonky at times, even a little nerdy. But my wish is that for those of you who don't know me, that we can sit down and have a conversation and I can hear your concerns and your ideas for Fargo. And you can learn a little bit more about me. And you will certainly hear how proud I am to have served the last 4 years on the City Commission as your deputy mayor. But you're also going to hear about my career. And you're going to hear about the 40 years where I worked for private industry. And I managed people and I brought teams to success. I developed and executed billion-dollar budgets in an efficient and with stewardship in the center of it. I navigated crisis. And for 30 of those years, I lobbied both at the state and federal level and affected policy and made change, working with both sides of the aisle. And tonight, in this race, it is not about a title. In fact, this race isn't about running to be the mayor. For me, this race is running to be your mayor. And I truly believe with leadership and vision and a strategic future, that together we can make sure you're proud to be for Fargo. And so my job tonight is to earn your vote.
We're also polite. Not one went over the 2-minute limit. Dave, you did. For the next hour or so, we will ask questions. Okay? The questions come from people who live in Fargo, work in Fargo, own businesses in Fargo, or audience members when they went online to register an event, and some from us and the Chamber and the Business Association. So it's a spice of life here in questions. Sekou, you go first, and we will alternate the order. Why are you qualified to be mayor?
Thank you. As a pastor of over 30 years in ministry, and I'm still pastoring, I'm the local pastor in the community. And as the Human Rights Commission chair, all I've done all my life is to listen to people, solve difficult problems, work with families, work with community. As a local community organizer, that's what I do, and that's what I bring to City Hall. City Hall needs somebody who listens. City Hall needs somebody who brings people together. City Hall needs people who proffer solutions to real problems that are affecting real Fargo residents, like Kyle, like Brandon, like Jessica, like our grandmas, like grandpa. Problems of small business owners that are struggling, problems of students, problems of homelessness and mental health. I want to listen. I bring listening ears to Fargo. That's why I'm qualified, because all my life, that's what I've done. As an operations management graduate from MSU, I think I bring something to the table that can make us work together as a community and build a future that every Fargo resident deserves. Thank you.
Same question to you, Michelle.
Well, I love this city. As I said before, I've been here for over 35 years. Never thought I would stay that long, but fell in love with it. Built my career here, built my family here. And a couple of years ago, I was approached by a group of concerned citizens who asked me to consider running for the city commission. I never in my life thought I would ever be in politics. And it still surprises me to this day sometimes. But I thought about it, talked to my family about it, I prayed on it, and realized that even though I've always voted in every election, change starts with us. And to be involved in the city and be involved in the decision making, then I knew I wasn't going to be sitting on the sidelines and being a complainer. I would do something about it. I feel I'm qualified because I grew up here in college and, as I said, had my career here. Thank you.
Dave, why are you qualified to be mayor?
I served as a city commissioner for 16 years, so I'm well prepared. I've been a liaison for almost every department at some point during the 16 years. Like I said, I've lived here and been in business the whole time, and so I've learned so much from all the, right now I'm the chair of the Liquor Control Board. I'm also the chair of the River Basin Commission, which is basically an international board where we work on water projects from South Dakota all the way up to the Lake Winnipeg. And so it's a great experience. I've had lots of experience. I'm the chairman of most of the boards of the committees that I'm on. I'm not afraid to speak my mind. I'm a fiscal conservative. Sometimes people don't always like what I say, but I'll stand on my voting record for the past 16 years. Thank you.
Same question to you, Josh. What qualifies you to be mayor?
Well, as I said in my introduction, I've spent the last 14 years delivering for Fargo. When we started seeing the housing crisis impact not just Fargo, but the entire state, I got to work working with housing advocates, home builders, and so forth to advocate for more increased funding related to housing. In this last legislative session, we were able to quadruple the amount of state money that goes towards helping people in crisis, as well as a $25 million cash infusion in the Housing Incentive Fund to help build affordable housing, whether single family or multi-family. I helped deliver making sure that Fargo was able to get more funding for public transit by working with the 3 other cities across the state who have public transit as part of their city services. I have proven time and time again that although I may be part of the minority party and that will continue to be something that's said about my service, every time I've been able to get things done because I work with people on practical solutions, on pragmatic delivery for leadership for Fargo.
Denise, your qualifications to be mayor.
Thank you. In addition to what I laid out in the beginning, I've worked for 8 different organizations managing and developing budgets, fiscally responsible. I also, in addition to my service as deputy mayor, I know what the issues are in the city, and I know what they are first and foremost because I care and I listen to the constituents and the residents. I've engaged in dialogue. I know how to communicate. I know how to get ahead of the issues and bring people along so that together we can find solutions. And I think it's just my real passion and service that is core to me as coming from a military and a police family, that I truly am rooted in what it means to give back to a community and start by caring, listening, communicating, and solving for the problems.
Our next question will start with you, Michelle. Home assessments are out. They're up, meaning property taxes will go up. An audience member wants to know if it's because of the state's property tax credit cap of 3%. How do you give people property tax relief?
Well, that's something that we need to address not only as the city, but also with the county. So that's going to have to be a collaborative approach that we take to that. I am a resident just like the rest of you, and I got my assessment and I didn't like it. I didn't like writing my check on tax day. So I'm sick of paying taxes and the spending going up as well. Everything is costing more and we're not making any more. So we definitely, it's not just a city issue, we have to make that clear, but it's something that we'll have to work with the county for our own property taxes, which goes to schools primarily, the city, the park district, and also the county. So those are all the parts that get your property taxes. So it will have to be a collaborative effort with the state and our other partners in the area.
Dave, how will you give homeowners property tax relief?
So the simple answer is what I said in my opening statement. What the city commission can control is our mill levy. And so what I said at the beginning is we will reduce our mill levy. I promise you that we will do that. But we also have to reduce spending across the board. There's many departments that are very, very ripe for reductions of spending. To give you an example, our media department is 15 people with an unlimited budget, which is probably quite a bit larger than Channel 6's media budget, so you might want to write that down. And we're not accepting applications for news anchors at this time. But it's unbelievable. 4 years ago, we had one person in our communications department, and now we have 15. We have a studio, we have the most expensive equipment, and it's all paid for by the taxpayers of Fargo. It's totally unnecessary, so we'll talk about the rest in the future, but the main thing we're going to do is cut the mills. Thank you.
Same question to you, Josh Boucher. How do you give people property tax relief in Fargo?
Well, first and foremost, I'm proud of my vote for providing a $1,600 property tax credit to our residents that own their home and expand the credit for renters that are over the age of 65. But that was done because the state does not assess any property tax. The locals for far too long have continued to not control the levers they can, as was spoken about by Commissioner Pepcorn, of controlling mill levy increases. I understand that there's been an increase in needs, but we also have to look at prioritizing those needs over wants. And so what I would be committed to do is the same thing that we did at the state. We limited local political subdivisions' ability to grow by 3%. That's a tough pill to swallow, but as someone who stands behind that vote, I would make sure that our budget is in line with that, and that we make sure that we're addressing mill levy rates as a part of evaluations. Because also as a real estate professional, I'm pretty confident many of you would love to be able to sell your home for the amount that you're being assessed for, and we'll continue to see that go up. So we need to pull the levers that we can at the local level.
Denise, how will you give people property tax relief?
So Senator Boucher did bring up the $1,600 rebate that came out of the last legislative session, which is appreciated by everyone, including me as a property tax owner. The reality is that all market valuations have to be between 90 and 100%, which is state statute. And so it's based on the market rates of the properties, number one. And now with the 3% cap, mill levies are basically irrelevant. It's about the spending of each political subdivision, including the city, and how do we address that? So what are sustainable revenues, and where can efficiencies continue to be found in every city budget, which is 19% of the total property tax, and you're right, the largest share of every property tax bill is the school system at 51%, the counties at 14%, and the parks at 12%. And so while we're about 20% of the total property tax relief, it's working with all of the political subdivisions and our area state legislators to continue to look at the formulas and continue to find efficiencies.
Fargo's been working on solutions to address a homeless problem for years. decades. Dave, you're up first with this question. What is your plan to address?
We need to jump to Sekou for that last question. That's my fault. Sekou, what is your solution for property tax relief in Fargo? My apologies.
No, I thought you just chose the copiness.
Never.
But it's fine. I mean, everybody spoke well, but I'm just confused, because if we can do some of these things, we should have done them before. I think we need to bring people together. Again, like I said, most times City Hall believe we can just make unilateral decisions without the involvement of the people of Fargo. We need to bring the community partners together. We need to bring the stakeholders together. And we can sit at the table and decide which way we want to go. We can look at the mill levy if we decide to put a hold on that, but we also need to look at special assessment. It's also an extra burden that is done on homeowners, and I really hate that. If we cannot eliminate special assessment, we should be able to at least meet somewhere in the middle. We need to have a conversation. The problem is City Hall is not having a conversation with the people they are leading. They just decide what they want to do. We can all sit at the table and come up with practical solutions on how we want to lower taxes for our residents. Thank you.
Now, the next question. Fargo's been working on solutions to address the homeless problem for years. Dave, what is your plan to address homelessness in measurable terms, and what is the city's role?
The city's role, what is happening right now is the city taxpayers in Fargo are paying for it for the whole region. We are providing services for the homeless for the whole region, and it's just the taxpayers of Fargo. We can't afford to do that anymore. The other thing we can't afford to do, obviously the Downtown Engagement Center has been a disaster for our downtown. Everyone that's here tonight, when you walk around, you see a lot of empty storefronts, you see a lot of empty apartments and condos, and it's been devastating. The one thing we have to change is we have to stop enabling. If you want to get help for recovery, we will get you that. And if you have mental health issues, we will get you to the correct place. But we cannot continue enabling, and basically whether you want to or not, we don't have the money. And on top of that, we have to get our neighbors to help pay for this, whatever we do, because right now, we can't afford that either. Thank you.
Same question to you, Josh. A measurable terms, addressing homelessness and the city's role in that.
Yeah, I had the honor of serving as the chair of the Fargo Moorhead Coalition for Homeless Persons many years ago. And I remember sitting in the basement of the Moorhead Library where they meet and looking around a table of 100 people representing nonprofits, faith community, and some of the private sector in terms of trying to solve this issue. This issue will only be solved if we have leadership committed to it. We've seen the current commission spend 2 years fighting over about one space, the Downtown Engagement Center. And it wasn't until the very end of the conversation that it became very apparent, was more publicly spoken about, was that it was the wrong location for the right service. We need to take care of our neighbors. I wish homelessness didn't exist, but we can't look the other way when we have people in our community because they can no longer afford to rent. They are evicted from their homes and they are dealing with addiction and mental health services. This requires an all-the-above approach, and I think we are on a good start when we look at the CAST Play Interagency Council of Homelessness and some of the work that they're doing, an organization I'm a part of, where we're going to start measuring those things, and we need to do it by letting people know every time we get someone housed and help them off the street.
Denise, the city's role in homelessness.
Yeah, first of all, this problem has been growing for a number of years, and the city hasn't acted, in my opinion, working with state and area local legislators as efficiently and as quickly as it should have, and that's shame on us, the city. However, there has been progress talking to citizens and talking to downtown businesses in this last couple of years. We were so close 2 years ago to having a solution of moving the deck to the Recourse and Recovery Center, which is a completely different model. But it got derailed in the 11th hour at the legislative session. I was part of that work, but now we're moving it. It's going to be opening the first part of May. That's going to be a big resource center in different direction. Addiction and behavioral health issues is a national crisis. It's not an easy solution, but there are plans to truly try to address it and have it serve as a pilot and a model and an example for the state of North Dakota, and then we can go after additional funding.
Same question to you, Sekou. Addressing homelessness and the city's role in that.
Thank you. If you listen to the responses, you know exactly where the problem is. When we begin with the wrong premise, we end with the wrong conclusions. If you listen to the stage tonight, everybody tries to stigmatize homelessness. They believe homeless people are responsible for being homeless. They believe homeless people are homeless because they're on drugs, because they're lazy. That is why the city has not been able to offer any solution to homelessness. There are so many causes to homelessness. We have to start with the causation. Why are people homeless? If we don't address the why, then we cannot solve the problem. There's so many people that are homeless that are living with families. They're not at the downtown engagement center. There are so many people in Fargo that are homeless that are paying top dollars from hotels to hotels. I've worked with some of these families. Some of them are nurses. Some of them are not on drugs. We have to come together. We have to bring the landlords. We have to bring the tenants. We have to bring everybody to the table and discuss and find a middle ground to address this homeless problem instead of stigmatizing homelessness. It's wrong.
Michelle, a plan to address homelessness.
Well, I would argue that that is not true. I met with two of the members of the Coalition to End Homelessness, and I had a very good discussion over this. And to categorize the problem we have as homeless is overstating it, because over 80% of the people who are homeless are dealing with addiction and mental health problems, which make it extremely difficult to get housing. So we also have to remember that the city is not a nonprofit. Look at what West Fargo and Moorhead does for the homeless. Fargo is not a nonprofit. We have over 1,814 nonprofits in Fargo. That is where that role should be. Can we help? Yes, but that should not be the main source is city funding.
Sekou, do you have a rebuttal to?
I do. I've known people that are homeless living in a hotel. They're not on drugs. They are nurses. They are working people. They are pastors. They pastor churches in the local community, founder of 5-6, because the landlord wrote something in their record that nobody will rent to them. So they are not on drugs. It is just wrong to keep stigmatizing people who are having real problems. I'm not saying there are not homeless people that are not on drugs, but to put everybody in one bucket, it is wrong, and that's why the city cannot find solution to this problem. That is why the city needs Sekou Sirleaf to come in and turn things around, because I want to listen.
Josh, we'll begin with you for this one. Some crime numbers are trending down. That doesn't necessarily match some people's perception of crime in our community. How will you address crime and perception?
Yeah, perception is reality. We continue to see the data not only locally but throughout the state and nationally show a decline, especially in violent crime, which is good. I think that's a reflection of the work that our law enforcement community has done and the things we've been able to do to help keep people, especially young people, out of the judicial system and the justice system. As part of my campaign, I've hosted a number of listening sessions around town. And when I asked people, what is it that would make you feel more safe in your community or in your neighborhood or in your home? What people end up talking about, ironically enough, is traffic. The safety that a lot of people are bringing up, while there's certainly legitimate concerns about violence that does happen from time to time, it's the streets, it's the speeding, it's the drag racing, it's the loud mufflers. That's what we continue to hear from folks. And I think digging in on some of that will help with some of the perception, because while certainly there are parts of our community where people feel less safe, I think the more that we can do to make sure that people are housed, to make sure that people can enjoy their neighborhood freely of any vehicle issues, we'll see people feel more safe in our community.
Denise, same question to you.
Yeah, perception definitely is reality, and I think for too long the city tried to answer that perception and the feeling with statistics and with numbers, and it doesn't resonate. So how do we engage citizens and have the conversation acknowledging how people feel is the first step. Secondly, we need to continue to build on the great work that has been done at the police department and in public safety. We have an opportunity ahead of us. We'll be hiring a new chief. We have an interim chief now with a lot of ideas. So how do we build on what's worked? How do we continue to support public safety? How do we continue to support all first responders actually, but in a way that is engaging the public and the community along the way to understand what are the priorities, what are the goals, and how are we going to get there, and then how we're going to measure it.
Same question to you, Sekou.
Thank you. Again, I go back to the same thing I said before. To solve any problem, we need to first begin with the why. If you cannot answer the why, you can't solve any problems. Crime doesn't just happen in a vacuum. People who commit crimes come from families. Today, the poverty rate in Fargo is at 12.8%. And the poorest people in our city today are anybody living between the ages of 18 and 34. That is the problem. We need strong families. People who commit crimes, they come from families. Broken families produce broken communities produce broken cities. Our families, if they are broken, we need to find help for the families. With the level of poverty in the city, things are tied together. Things are looped together. So the first step in solving crime is not policing. The first step to solving crime is reimagining our city, strengthening our families, strengthening funding programs for young people. And then we can bring in the police officers, put them in the streets so that those that slip through the cracks, we can identify them. Fighting crime should not begin with policing. Thank you.
Michelle, how will you address crime?
Well, as far as crime goes, the data may show one thing, and we may hear that crime is down, but ask business owners, ask residents if they feel crime is down, and you'll hear something totally different. I believe we have taken the very first step in improving our city and our safety with new police leadership. That was much needed, and it is already improving. Being much more diligent with our budget will allow us to fully fund and get more boots on the ground for police. That is what we need. We need more patrol. We need patrol downtown. We went from having our department downtown and police in and out every day to it being moved across the city. We'll get them on streets. We'll get them walking the beat, make sure they're funded. Police, fire, and our first responders as a priority.
Dave, same question to you. How do you address crime?
The best way is going to elect a new mayor that's tough on crime. We currently have a majority in our city commission that's been soft on crime for 4 years. Our police chief, who just resigned, thankfully, was soft on crime. When people would call for a shoplifting, the police would not come. When they get caught for shoplifting, the prosecutors did not prosecute them. If you're a criminal and there are no consequences when you commit a crime, odds are you're probably going to commit another crime. So the good news is we have a new chief. He has already started to implement things. Like I said previous, we have a laundry list of things we can do as a city to address it. From making new laws, to give you an example, we just eliminated all of our laws. Our city attorney at that point eliminated them, and so now we have none. The good news travels fast. When criminals find out there are no consequences, where do they come? And on top of that, we're giving away crack pipes, heroin needles in our downtown. And we wonder, wow, why is there so much drug use downtown? So anyway, once again, elect a mayor that's tough on crime. We will solve it in a hurry. Thank you.
New question, and Denise, you're up first for this one. How do you work with people you deeply disagree with?
I think I've been doing that for a while now. I think it begins by leading as an example, respecting the decorum, doing your homework, sharing your point of view, and at times agreeing to disagree. But in the end, bringing the public along in those disagreements, because when you look at what's happening across the country and locally, we are becoming more and more polarized as a nation, in a country, but also locally and statewide. And so being truthful, acting with integrity, not being able to call out things that are being misrepresented or misinformed, but doing it with respect and professionalism. I think that's the only way we're going to get to a more civil environment where we can truly work together and be collaborative. And as mayor, I promise you this, I will take that approach with every other commissioner that sits at that dais.
Sekou, same question to you, please.
Thank you. As a pastor, that's what I do every day, working with people who don't agree with me. I made no better example than husbands and wives in our congregation. They highly agree on so many things. In our congregation, I got Republicans, I got Democrats, I got independents, I got different people with different mentality. I got parents who are Americans with children who came from Africa. So people with different backgrounds. And all we have to do is to be respectful and to listen. Even if you think the other person is not making sense, they're speaking nonsense, if you can listen, you can separate the non from the sense and you can find the sense in the nonsense. So that's what we got to learn to listen to people respectfully. We have to empathize people, put ourselves in people's shoes, and that way we can find solutions. Today we're becoming like a tribal country. Right and wrong is no more about what people do, it's about which side of the aisle you are. We can listen to each other. When we listen to each other, we can find solutions. Thank you.
Michelle?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, I can. How do you work with people you deeply disagree with?
Well, it's called going to work. It's not called going to fun. I think pretty much everyone in this room can say that you probably deal with people that you don't get along with every day, just as we do in the government. The only way around that is to have open dialogue. Yeah, I tell people who openly disagree with me, residents, when they call, I invite people to call me, email me. If you agree, disagree, have concerns, have ideas, I want to hear them, and I'll often meet with them. And often people who have completely different ideas. But to actually listen and hear their point of view can give you a new perspective and possibly a way to look at things that you didn't look at them before. So I think just being professional, having an open dialogue, and being willing to listen.
Same question to you, Dave.
So I think it's a great thing. You try to find common ground with the people, like on the commission. We vote and then life goes on. We don't all, and we shouldn't always agree with each other. That's, if we were all in agreement, then we wouldn't need a commission. We all have our points of view. Sometimes we all agree, we vote 5-0. Sometimes we don't, it's 4-1. That's just how it goes. There's nothing wrong with people disagreeing with different opinions. We have lots of the same agreements on many things, and some are different. That's, to me, that's not, this might surprise you, but that's not a problem for me. That's a part of what we're there for. And everybody brings their own point of view. Some I might agree with, some they might not agree with me. That's our system, and I think it's a pretty good one. Thank you.
Josh?
Most of it's already been said. I think we all work in an environment where we, specifically because of our profession as policymakers, work with folks that we don't agree with every time. But as I go back to my examples of what I've been able to deliver for my time in Bismarck, it's a reason why, as I run for this office, I have a number of legislators from across the aisle and across the state who have said that they would like to see me as mayor of Fargo because they know that I sit down and I listen and I help find a solution. Most of what happens in public policy isn't one idea and two ideas, and those are the only two ideas. Usually we get to the third idea by working together and collaborating. I came up a time in government in the late 1990s and early 2000s as a millennial where compromise was how things got done. And now we see at every level of government where it's about my side, your side, and we put our feet on the ground and then we don't move the needle because we can't find consensus. We need to do better, and my track record shows that I can do those things. I would be committed to doing that as your next mayor.
We'll move on to the next question from our business community. What's your plan to bolster business in downtown Fargo and then small businesses across the city?
You know, I've been thinking about this for a while. Small businesses have been struggling in Fargo, and so many small businesses are closing. I, myself, am a small business owner. When big corporations have problems and they mismanage their businesses, we give them relief. We give them tax cut, we give them everything that they want. What do we give to small businesses? Nothing. Small businesses struggle on their own to survive. And small businesses are the mainstay of the economy. We need those small businesses to build our economy. So we need to come to the table and study and see what we can do. In our budget, we have to be strategic, we have to be intentional in our budget. Our budget of $140 million this 2026 is not even geared towards helping ordinary people in Fargo. So we need to find a way, find a path how we can support these businesses, bring them to the table and ask them what kind of help they need, where they are struggling, find out their struggles, and we can find a way we can provide some help for them.
Michelle, since we are downtown, how do you bolster it and small businesses across the city?
I've visited with many downtown business owners, from restaurants to small shops, boutiques, And the number one problem that they have had most recently, and probably since COVID, is of course crime and police response. Now we're on our way to fixing that. Our new interim chief already has a plan in place, so I hope that that gets expedited and he's able to fully implement his plans and get more patrol on the streets. It has absolutely been a problem. We have had bad actors in downtown doing horrible things in businesses. It's pretty hard to run a business when you have shoplifting, when you have people coming into your business and urinating or defecating, stealing merchandise, and there's no response. So we're on our way to fixing that, and I think personally it is important to explore the city and shop local.
Dave, a plan to bolster businesses in downtown Fargo and small businesses across the city.
So the downtown specifically, the most important thing is public safety, because right now, when people come downtown, they don't feel safe. And so if your customers don't feel safe, they're not coming here. They're gonna go someplace else, and so that's what's happened. But public safety is one thing, but also the cost of renting space in downtown Fargo is much more than it used to be. We're a victim of our own success. The values of properties in downtown, as Josh can attest, it's expensive. And so, I hesitate to say we need to have a program to help with rent, but we have to figure out some way to assist, especially really small businesses, because usually when they first are starting, that's when they have very little capital. And that's what I hear when I talk to people is, first is safety, but also it's money. I just don't have a lot, and the rent is too high in downtown Fargo. So those are a couple of mine. Thank you.
Josh?
There's a lot of factors impacting small businesses across the city, some of which have been brought up, but more importantly, I think it's hard for people to afford spending money as well. When we built a downtown environment which is meant to bring people together and eat good food and shop at great local restaurants and enjoy entertainment at places like this, it's harder for people to afford things. We need to figure out how can we increase wages for folks so they can spend more money and support our local businesses. Because if we can support our local businesses and people are spending more money here, that is more revenue for the city. So when we talk about the budget, a lot of times we talk about it from a budget cut standpoint, but how do we also drive revenue, drive opportunity for people to spend more money in our city and support our small businesses? So as part of my campaign so far, I've been doing listening sessions. I've visited with a number of small business owners. A lot have asked for some sort of grant program. I don't think that's necessarily feasible with the city of Fargo, but we could look at what would that look like for the state. We provide incentives for larger corporations to come here and bring and create a few jobs sometimes, but what are we doing to make sure we're retaining the jobs that are already here with our small businesses?
Denise, your vision.
Yeah, so clearly downtown, there has been this perception of safety that's been an issue, and shoplifting has been an issue across the city. And so as we take a look at how we're going to continue to improve on what's working with the police department and enforcement, that needs to be part of it. We also need to continue to look at a number of ordinances. Some have been changed in the last couple of years that address some of the behavior that affects the struggling businesses as well. And we need to, as part of the growth plan underway, including the land development code, we need to continue to look at incentives to be creative, and not just for big businesses, but how can we be creative and innovative around helping small businesses as part of that work. Lastly, I'll say that we have a very active EDC and chamber who are very focused on these issues. And so how do we collaborate and work with both of those organizations who have an incredible track record and support them as a political subdivision and as a city to get that work underway and support it.
The Downtown Engagement Center, now known as the Resource Recovery Center, offers services to the homeless. Do you support it? Would you keep it open? Michelle, you're first.
I do not support the way that we run it now. So we actually don't need the Downtown Engagement Center because we have all of these nonprofits. We have 1,814 in just the city of Fargo, not including the metro as a whole. I think what really hurt us as a city was a syringe. A needle walked out of the deck every 15 seconds. We gave away millions of needles. We gave away 7,000 crack pipes, booth kits, tourniquets. That money could have went to treatment. I have yet to meet a parent of a child that is overdosed that agrees that that is good policy. I have yet to meet someone who is sober, that has overcome addiction, that thinks giving out these tools and enabling is a good idea. So how we've run it, absolutely not.
Dave, same question to you.
So the downtown engagement center is going to be closing, and that will have a tremendous positive impact on the downtown. The proposed new building that's being developed, we don't have any money for that. So whatever the budget they're saying it costs, we don't have any money. And so we're building this, and then on top of that, it's right next door to Bruhala, which is one of the 4 sites for our new convention center. And then on top of that, we're going to remodel this building that the city doesn't own for $1.5 million, and then we're going to move out in 2 years. As a small business owner, I would never do that with my money in a million years. It defies common sense. So when you combine, we don't have any money, plus it's not a successful program. So my prediction is a lot of these are just going to be ending just because we can't afford them anymore. Thank you.
Josh?
Yes, I support the Resource Recovery Center. We need a place where nonprofits that provide services to the homeless can be in basically a one-stop location, which is what this will be. Where it's located, that has been the conversation for 2 years, and it's completely distracted us from the idea of the fact that we need to do a better job of providing and delivering services. One of the things that the city can do with the resources we put towards those programs is require outcomes to be delivered as part of it. There is a funding mechanism that government can use in which we'd have the private sector come in and invest in those things. And with a contract, it's called Pay for Success, those private entities would pay up front. There'd be no cost to the city unless the outcomes were good. And then the city would pay back with a little bit of interest as part of their good stewardship programs that those businesses or specialty funds have. There are methods that we can do this that doesn't cost taxpayers direct money, but they can improve outcomes and continue to make sure we're providing services to the most vulnerable of our city.
Denise, I'll reset the question. The Downtown Engagement Center, now known as the Resource and Recovery Center, offers services to the homeless. Do you support keeping it open?
Yes, I voted to move it, and I support to keep it open, and here's why. We've been working with the Governor's Office and the Department of Health and Services to have this concept supported, and hopefully over time and after proof of concept, when we open it, it's going to have a number of new services and take a different approach that will be measurable and serve as a pilot to North Dakota so that we can then secure the state funding and prove it as a model to solve these problems that have been very complex and expensive at times as well. But we have to find solutions to these root cause problems with programs and services that work and that are scalable across the state.
Sekou?
Thank you. When people don't want to do something, they'll always find a reason not to. When people care about something, they'll find a way to do it. I will vote to keep the Downtown Engagement Center open. We can decide to have a new way to run it. We can reimagine the Downtown Engagement Center. The problem, I keep hearing, the city doesn't have money. The same city that doesn't have money with a budget deficit right now of I think $6.6 million, and is trying to find money. The same people who voted for how many millions of dollars to remodel the Fargo Dome. I love the Fargo Dome. I love the NDSU license. But if we can find that amount of money to remodel the Fargo Dome, we can also find money to put it in programs that affects real people with real problems. Instead of just looking at them as nothing. We don't have the money and so we can't do it. Close it down. When you close it down, where do they go to? We already created another problem. So I think we should keep it open and we can reimagine how we want to run it. Thank you.
Dave, before we move on to the next question, do you have a rebuttal to anything Sekou said?
Sure. We don't have any money, but that's no joke. We don't have any money. So these programs and talking about, well, this is a concept and we need to find solutions. We don't have any money. So I'm just telling you, whatever, all these ideas, they're wonderful. And the taxpayers of Fargo, we are sick of being scolded and said, you have to do this, you have to do this. Why are we the provider for services for the region? Do you know why we are? Because our leaders are not cutting the good deal for the taxpayers. That's what we have to start doing, looking out for the best interests of the taxpayers of Fargo.
Can I have a 30 seconds for that? You see, programs that have to do with the upper 1%, we always find the money. The only time this city doesn't have money is when it's a program ordinary people. That's the only time we don't have money. When it has to do with ordinary people. We have money to remodel the airport, but we don't have money to improve our bus service. We cut in the bus service. We are cutting in the library. We cut the snow removal from downtown because that doesn't affect us. And that is why City Hall is so tuned in. And the people are tired. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next question with you. You mentioned it a little bit earlier. Fargo's getting a new convention center. The commission is going to vote on it, a location next week. What will you look for to make that successful?
Well, we just had a meeting today, and it's there's 4 proposals. They're all excellent properties and proposals, but the bottom line is the money. Once again, right now, what we learned today was they're all proposing not to make money. And so if that happens, to give you an example, if they lose money, do you know where the loss comes from? The taxpayers and the city budget. The Fargo Dome has a $47 million surplus. That's the fund if they lose money. The convention center does not have one. So we need to proceed very cautiously. I think we all agreed today. We learned a lot, and so I believe we're just going to maybe pump the brakes a little bit because we have to, if it's a convention center that's going to be built, it has to be successful and make money. Otherwise, we're just opening up another money pit, and it will never end. So that's a concern. And I think all of us were at the meeting today, and Josh watched it as well. We were all concerned about that. So anyway, thank you.
Josh, what will you look for to make it successful?
Well, I hope we are able to have a successful convention center. Watching the meeting this afternoon was, I think, eye-opening for a lot of folks, and especially the commissioners who were at the table in the committee, just because there's a lot of unanswered questions. And I think we can get there, and I'm hopeful that we are able to be successful. The challenge I think we're facing is that, folks don't know, is the revenue source for the convention center doesn't actually start until the site is actually located or determined. And so the opportunity to collect revenue this summer may not exist if we pump the brakes. But based on the information that was shared this afternoon, I think it would be prudent of us to make sure we get answers. All 4 proposals are worthy of continuing to be looked at. And that's not just trying to provide a political answer. If you go and watch the video, you'll hear the consultants that were providing information to the committee talk about the pros and cons of each of them and how they're differently financed. There's maybe within that creative ways that we can get all 4 of them to get on the same page with how they would finance it, so we would have a more sustainable convention center that we can invest in.
Denise, the question to you, what makes a convention center successful?
Yeah, so just as a reminder, this was voted on by the citizens and it's paid for with a lodging tax, so it's visitors who are paying for this, and the modeling shows that we should have about $45 million to start with about $500,000 a year for sustainability. That's what we're working with. And so the process now will be, and for me, number 1 is financial sustainability and viability, because it's going to be a great boon to the city and bring in new business, and the dollars will be exemplified. And so the next process, once we understand what's coming back, is negotiation between the city and who we ultimately work with to work out all of these details to make sure that it is financially sustainable. There is opportunity to make changes. There is opportunity to get additional questions answered, but let us not forget what this means to all of you as citizens, with this revenue coming in and being multiplied and having a significant impact on our community.
Sekou.
Thank you. Simple economics, scale of preference, opportunity cost, priority spending. Anything that does not have direct impact on the people of Fargo, I would not vote for it. If it has no economic impact on the residents of Fargo, I won't go for it. If the convention center is going to have a direct impact on our citizens, definitely I will vote for it. I'm only looking for how I can have positive impact on the people of Fargo. So anything that is worth doing is worth doing. I will support any good initiative that is benefiting the people of Fargo. But all that I'm saying, now we want the convention center, but we don't want programs to help homeless people. We want the convention center, but we don't want people struggling with addiction and mental health. We don't have money for those. Anything that the upper class wants, that City Hall wants, oh, we'll find the money for that. And that is where I'm kind of getting a little bit confused. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Michelle, some question to you.
Well, since this is the United States of America and the citizens voted to approve this, it's going forward. So this is a vote that was taken and Fargo residents approved it. I would encourage all of you to go back and watch the meeting today because it was a bit confusing. It was a bit like apples and oranges. Line items were not the same in each one, so it's going to take some further investigation to see how it works. Now, this convention center is described as an economic engine. So while it may not be making loads of money or any money, what the point is to bring people into Fargo and spend their money in our stores and small businesses. So you can imagine each location, Fargo is the only one with skin in the game. If we put that out near West Fargo benefits, not Fargo.
Next round of questions. Josh, you were up first. A little hypothetical here. We have an issue, we need money. Are you gonna raise taxes? Are you gonna cut the budget? And if you're cutting, what's the first thing you cut?
So as I said earlier, a lot of the conversations have been on cutting the budget. That'll probably have to be the most important thing the next mayor does in the short term. But also we have to look at our opportunity to raise revenue. And when I say that, it's not a matter of increased taxation for folks. It's how do we generate more economic activity in our community? How do we unlock assets that the city already has? If the Civic Center isn't picked as one of the locations for the convention center, how do we activate that and turn that into more of an event venue that we can use to continue to generate dollars for downtown and for our city? So that's the short of it. We have to look at both sides of the ledger. In terms of what would I cut first, I would want to look specifically at the budget of any capital projects and put a pause on that. Those are projects that might be able to have one-time funding that can come in later now to help catch up on that. I know things become more expensive the longer we wait, but it's a place that we can start. And then I'd want to look line item by line item in each budget to look at where's there duplication of services. One thing I've learned as I visit with department leaders is there's a lot of siloing right now in the city of Fargo, and there's opportunities to share services and to share resources.
Denise, same question to you.
Yeah, with the 3% cap, the city is limited in how far it can extend its budget. And so cutting taxes, mill levies basically are now irrelevant given the 3% cap with property tax release that again, I'm also thankful for. And so looking at revenues and where we can get revenue, number one, this renewal of the infrastructure sales tax that's coming up with this election is critical. It has to pass. We have paid for a number of projects, including keeping our and we've kept our water utility rates down, all of our utility rates down because of the 1 cent sales tax that is also paid by people who come to town and use those services. So that's the first thing. We've got to renew that sales tax. Number two, we need to empower our cabinet. The weekly mayoral meeting with the cabinet needs to be the most important meeting of the week, and utilizing all of our department heads, have them come to the table with all of their ideas, knowing that they're the experts of their department for additional efficiencies in order to support the work of providing the services to the people of Fargo.
Sekou.
Right now we have aging infrastructures that need to be repaired. We have a low-debt staff at City Hall right now. If we have to do anything with a budget, I prefer we find a way. We should bring people together. I don't know, when we say the citizens voted for this, how many of the citizens participated in the vote for the convention center? But that's another question for another day. But we need to bring people together to find out where we can cut that. It does not heavily impact the people of Fargo. My concern is about the people of Fargo. It's about their sustainability. It's about their livelihood. We can cut other services that are not having direct impact on the lives of the people, but it's not just cutting. Let's go to City Hall, let's reduce some of the staff. There's some people there that maybe one person can do what 2, 3 people there are doing. We can reduce some of the staff there at City Hall. That's a good place to start.
Michelle, same question to you. Raise taxes, cut the budget, and if it's cutting, what do you cut first?
We cut. we are going to be cutting, and how we start with that is we focus on core city services. The city of Fargo is a business. It is not an endless pot of money to serve all of the special niche interests of every special interest group. We make sure those core services of safety, infrastructure, water, roads, the basics are fully funded and efficiently run. Anything else needs to be reevaluated, and we need to focus on our needs and not wants.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you a question anyway. Raise taxes, cut the budget, or what would you cut first?
So I made the promise we were going to reduce the mills, so that's reducing taxes. The example that we have is the Fargo School Board. They froze all of their wages, especially for their top people. They froze wages. We have to do that in Fargo. So the legislature already told us they're going to be cutting by 10%. We already had a reduction because of our debt is already a problem. So we have to, this is not an option. What you have to do is tell each department, here's the number, you have to figure out how to get that number. But the easiest one is just to freeze hiring. We didn't even do that with our Moody's downgrade. We took no action. The action that we did take is what Commissioner Polpak talked about. We're going to raise taxes, $34 million a year. And so the solution is, for liberals, is raise taxes. For conservatives, it is cut spending. And the number one question that I have from people on the road talking during the campaign, our taxes are too high. On June 9th, you have an opportunity to cut your taxes. You can vote no on this sales tax extension and vote for fiscal conservatives for leadership in the city of Fargo. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. Your taxes are going to go down.
Denise, a rebuttal on that.
Yeah. So, first of all, the infrastructure sales tax was voted on by the people 20 years ago because they saw the need for this. So it was the citizens who decided that the tax was needed, and I'm asking for a renewal there because it's outside people who use the services that are part of it. But the term liberal does not apply to me. I'm very pragmatic. This office is non-partisan. Over my entire career, I've had both people come to me. To run for state and local offices under their flag, and I have said no every time. And in fact, last summer, a party came to me locally and wanted to endorse me for mayor, and I said no. I am nonpartisan in this nonpartisan job, and I will always be nonpartisan because I work for every citizen of Fargo.
Okay, and the question starts with you, Denise. What does transparency with the public mean to you?
Transparency means exactly that. It means getting ahead of the issues, bringing them along, and making sure you meet people where they are. And a great example of this is including people at our city commission meetings, hearing their voice, encouraging them to speak up and providing comments. And in fact, there was a couple commissioners who wanted to cut the ability for public comments at city commission meetings. I fought for more. My entire life has been about open meeting, open records, and transparencies from my days at the North Dakota Newspaper Association. And I believe sunshine is the answer to a lot of uncertainty and skepticism. And as your mayor, I promise you, we're going to get ahead of the issues. We're going to do it with transparency and full information. And you're going to make sure that your engagement is part of the decisions.
Sekou, transparency.
It's interesting, as the chair of the Fargo Human Rights Commission, the only city commissioner I've not spoken with on this issue is Dave. I've spoken with everybody, including the mayor. They're quick to go to the news and say they're cutting the HRC, they're cutting arts and culture, they're cutting Native American Commission because there's too much burden on the city. And when I read all the papers, the people of Fargo have the mentality that City Hall is spending so much on the Human Rights Commission, and that's why the people are so angry. Oh, cut it, it's a waste of money. Let me tell you today, I've been on the HRC almost 5 years. We've not even received a dime. We're not in the budget. And I have asked City Hall every time for the record, if you say you're spending so much money on us, show it to us in the budget. Until today, bleep, we've not got anything. So transparency, if I, as the chair of the Fargo Human Rights Commission, cannot even get information, record from City Hall, Do you think ordinary people on the streets of Fargo will get it? Transparency means getting the people to know what you do. Thank you.
Dave, you were mentioned directly by name. We'll give you a chance if you'd like for a rebuttal on that.
Transparency and integrity are critical to public government. And so I'd like to give an example with the convention center. All the meetings are open to the public, all of them are online, and I think that's an excellent example. And a bad example is our crack pipes. That happened last year. You might laugh, this is no joke. We were in the city of Fargo, you taxpayers were paying to give out crack pipes. No, the city commission had no idea this was going on. The health committee had no idea this was going on. And when we found out about it, it was stopped immediately, but nothing happened. Who was the employee that made that decision, and why in the world are they still working for the city of Fargo? It's because we have soft leadership. And this is all, it's liberal agenda. That's what they want in our downtown, and that's what we've got.
We'll give you your transparency question in a minute, but we'll backpedal to Michelle. Your answer on that question first.
I think transparency is a word that gets thrown around a lot just to make it sound like everything is open and you know everything that's going on, where in fact, we as commissioners often don't know what's going on in the city. I wasn't allowed to speak to police officers, if you can believe that. And I still did because they're residents and I'm a resident and I represent them. And that's how I found out about the crack pipes. So yes, we do need to have open communication. I think that will also help for people to be engaged. Our meetings are broadcast. You are able to watch them. You are able to see what's going on, and you are able to request information. And if a city commissioner can't get that for you, then there's something wrong.
Dave, what does transparency with the public mean to you?
Well, what we have right now with our leadership and our current mayor, we have total lack of transparency. Like Commissioner Turnberg said, many times we don't even get included in the conversation. My pledge to you as mayor is I will include everybody on the commission. I'll have an open door. If we're having anything, they can come in and talk. Right now, we are intentionally shunned. And it's a way of manipulating people. That's what our current mayor does. He controls the intelligence, who gets to know what. So that's what's going on.
Josh, same question to you. What does transparency with the public look like?
Well, part of it's been touched on by all these elected and appointed leaders, and the fact that we have pretty open communication with folks when they show up to the meetings that we have for them. As an elected leader, I have spent my last 14 years hosting town forums in my district. When we're in session, we have monthly meetings on Saturday mornings for folks to come talk to us about the things that are important to them. We go out to them. During my listening sessions, since I announced my campaign in January, one thing I continue to hear, especially from South Fargo, is that they can't think of the last time the city has come to them to ask them about things when it comes to interchanges on interstate, when it comes to the development of a sports center where there's not transit going directly to it, but drops people off 2 blocks away. We have to do better. And as mayor, I commit to not just expecting you to show up to the meeting when you get the letter or the notice 48 hours or 72 hours before the meeting to say that you should come in and speak about an issue that's important to you. I'm going to come out to you to have conversations in your neighborhoods about what's important to you and make sure that we're leading the city that way.
Okay, time for the rapid fire part of the program, as quickly as you can. You all get to answer the same question. First question, do you support extending the infrastructure sales tax for another 20 years? Say who?
100%. I support it.
Michelle?
Yes.
Absolutely not. I want the taxpayers to keep the money they earn in their own pockets.
Josh?
Yes, sound investment for the future of Fargo.
Absolutely.
All right, our next question, rapid fire. We'll start with you, Michelle. Would you ban flavored tobacco in Fargo?
No, I would not. I'm not going to infringe on citizens' rights. It's a legal product.
Can you repeat the question again? So,
Yep. Would you ban flavored tobacco in Fargo?
Absolutely not.
Josh?
Not for legal adults.
Denise?
Not for legal adults. Cigarettes aren't banned, and so no.
Say who?
I will not ban it. because that will impact businesses in Fargo and it will move money from the city of Fargo. Banning it in Fargo, people go to West Fargo, Moorhead, and online, they will still buy it.
Next question, describe your leadership style in 3 words. Dave.
Friendly. And transparent.
Collaborative, forward-looking, solution-oriented.
Compassionate, strategic, and caring.
Sekou.
A listener, problem solving, and integrity.
Michelle.
Open, honest, and direct.
All right, our next rapid fire question, we'll start with you, Josh. What's the first thing you will do if you're elected mayor?
I will convene a task force on affordable housing.
Denise.
I would begin having meaningful weekly mayoral cabinet meetings with the department heads and start addressing the significant issues before the city of Fargo.
Sekou.
I will set up meetings in every district and talk to the people and see what they want me to do on the deal one.
Michelle.
I would sit with the new commission and start cutting the budget.
Dave.
I would open the mayor's office and invite all the commissioners to come in, have a refreshment, and let them know that anytime they're welcome to come into this office. Anything that they want to know that I'm doing, anytime they can call me. I'll give them my personal phone, I'll give them my city cell phone. Right now, we don't have that at all.
Next question, Denise. One way you align with the current mayor, one way you differ.
One way I align is the work that's being done to protect the city of Fargo from both drought and flood issues, and it's been a significant challenge that's in really good shape. One way I differ, I think, is my approach about getting ahead of issues and bringing the citizens along and keeping folks informed as the decisions are made.
Sekou, same question to you.
Along with Mayor understanding the sales tax credit, but I will differ with him on the fact that he doesn't listen to the people of the city.
Michelle.
I would say we align. We sometimes like to discuss medical issues, and how we differ, I would say, our means of communication.
Dave, align and differ from the current.
Align a lot is the economic development. He and I were on some committees together and we all voted together, which he didn't know. He was a little surprised by that. Where we differ, I think the main thing is he has to be thanked because he's been the steward while we went through a diversion and the water supply project 20 years. And so he's done a lot for the city of Fargo. And I think he's been just, we've benefited from having him as a mayor. Thank you.
We align in being, I think, true public servants, people who are committed to trying to make the community better than we found it. Where we don't align, or our differences would be in our way that we engage the public and bring people along and trying to find those solutions.
Okay, our next rapid fire question begins with you, Sekou. What is one risk to Fargo city leaders cannot ignore?
Crime.
Michelle.
Absolutely, public safety. First responders have to be number one.
Dave.
The biggest risk to Fargo right now is our special assessments, and the debt that we have, the Moody's downgrade, is because we are funding infrastructure and new developments. We are the bank, the taxpayers of Fargo. If something bad happens, we are on the hook. The land development code, we're going to reform that, and part of that is going to be reforming special assessments. We have to be careful that we don't damage our developers and builders, but we have to make the change. We've been doing it for 50 years. This is a risk that it's scary. Thank you.
Josh, one risk that Fargo city leaders cannot ignore.
Housing affordability, whether someone wants to own their home or renting. We've seen what the lack of ability to address the childcare crisis has done for our workforce and our businesses and our ability to grow. And housing is right up on the heels of childcare, so we need to address that.
And Denise.
I'm going to say fiscal responsibility, but I'm not talking about debt because our debt in 5 buckets is secure. What I'm talking about is where we're going to have sustainable revenues given the 3% cap, but also in order to provide the services when 76% of our budget is our people who provide the services to you in Fargo that you expect and deserve, especially public safety, utilities, roads, all of the other services.
What is Fargo getting right? Michelle.
It's a great place to live. I think we stay here for a reason. It's certainly not the weather. Today was a little bit different, but it's a great place to live. It's a great place to raise kids, and I think we have to make sure it stays that way.
Dave.
We have great staff, we have great infrastructure, and we've kept up with maintaining that. Those are all things that are going to benefit us way into the future. But we have to start looking to the future and helping grow our city. Because right now, our downtown is in a decline, and if we don't take action, it's going to continue. Just one quick thing. People say, I live on 52nd Avenue, why do I care what happens downtown? If the downtown goes down in value, your property taxes go up at 52nd Avenue. Thank you.
Josh.
Sorry for the bell.
Did you repeat the question? Sorry, lost it.
What is Fargo getting right?
Well, we're a place that anyone can succeed. I mean, our entrepreneurial spirit, we see it every day with small businesses that start up, restaurants, tech companies, even nonprofits. So it's a place that people continue to invest in themselves, and we invest in them, and I think we can use that as a model in public government as well.
Denise.
I think we've managed our growth really well, and it's because of the people who choose to live here, have business here, are involved here, but also the team who services Fargo, Team Fargo, has deep care and commitment to serving the people who live here. So definitely, they've gotten that right.
All right, our final rapid fire question is, first we'll have Sekou answer the last question.
What is Fargo getting right?
Rapid emergency response. When I moved here new, especially when it comes to snow removal, my wife fell in the snow many times. Days we can't come out of our home. But now, it's just been done as the snow is falling. So there's something we can erect.
Okay, now our final rapid fire question in just a couple of words. What is Fargo's most urgent infrastructure fix? Dave will begin.
Repurposing all the assets that we have right now. The Downtown Engagement Center building, the building next door, the Civic Center, the Red Hawk Stadium, the Fargo Dome. Those are all assets owned by the taxpayers of Fargo. And just like any infrastructure, we have to either spend money to maintain them or find another purpose. Sorry for going over my time.
Josh.
Long-range forecasting of our existing infrastructure. When you look at 50 years ago, where the development happened in Fargo, and we're now going to be chasing replacement of roads and sewer and so forth within those areas. So we need to have long-range forecasting as a part of that, but also our entire budget.
Denise.
Can you repeat the question?
Of course. What is Fargo's most urgent infrastructure fix?
The most important fix is, number one, renewing the infrastructure sales tax, but number two, having that long-term capital plan that encompasses all the needs from every department. That's a rolling plan in addition to a rolling budget.
Sekou.
I would say roads and internal transportation. We need to fix our bus service. Residents of Fargo are struggling to get to work, especially during the winter.
Michelle.
I would say our engineering department does a fabulous job of keeping up with our roads and keeping things in top shape. I also would say that a very important thing to do would be to secure federal funding for an on and off ramp at 76th Avenue South.
Okay, as we approach the conclusion of the 2026 mayoral debate here in Fargo, we now proceed to closing remarks, which will be given in reverse speaking order of the opening remarks, which means Denise.
Well, thank you very much for being here again tonight. And I think as we heard tonight's debate and conversation, it's pretty clear that we need more listening and less talking from City Hall. As your mayor, I know, and wanting to be someone you can be really proud of, as citizens of Fargo, you should be proud of all of the city commission and how we work together. And as mayor, I would collaborate with the city commission, and we would have open communication and dialogue, and importantly, also working with, as I've said before, the cabinet to make sure that we are doing the long-term strategic planning, and we have the vision and the communication and the transparency that's part of my platform. But central to all of that, of course, is fiscal responsibility. And we're going to have to continue to look for efficiencies in creative and innovative ways. We're going to have to look at and get information and feedback. We're going to have to look at and work with our local area legislators. And in the end, I promise you that I will be a mayor where you as the resident can be proud of saying we're for Fargo and I'm all in.
Josh, what would you like to leave with Fargo voters tonight?
First of all, thank you for taking the time to be here tonight or watch online. It is great when we see our citizens engaged. This election in June is historically low turnout. The last number of people that voted in the last mayor's election was 14,500 in a city of, at that time, about 138,000. We need you to participate, we need you to be engaged. As I've campaigned over the last 4 months and listened to folks throughout the city, one thing is evident. People are tired of the status quo. They're tired of the things, the fights on a Monday night, the lack of cohesion, the lack of the vision amongst the city commission. As a legislator, I've shown that I've been able to work with people who have different viewpoints than me, from different parts of the state, and I've been able to deliver for our community. I promise to bring that to you in City Hall. So if you want 4 more years of the same, you have plenty of options. If you're looking for someone who's going to bring change to City Hall, make sure we engage more with the public, and deliver on results, then I ask for your vote on June 9th.
So during this campaign, when I'm out talking to the residents, their number 1 concern is public safety. Their number 2 concern is taxes. And this is your opportunity to do something about it. If you're waiting for politicians to reduce your taxes, it ain't gonna happen. You can do it yourself. On June 9th, you can vote no on the sales tax event, and your taxes will go down $34 million a year, and then that grows about 5 to 10% every year. So that's the first thing you can do. The second thing you do is elect me as your mayor. I will reduce your mills. That's going to reduce your property taxes. I will reduce your utility fees from 4%. I will drop that. What they don't talk about is that's actually going to help housing affordability. So not only will you benefit as a homeowner, it will also help people on a fixed income. We're raising our property taxes so fast, we're pushing senior citizens out of their houses, and that has to stop. Once again, June 9th, I will appreciate your vote. I will change the city the next day. Thank you.
Michelle, what do you want to leave with the city?
I want to make sure that I leave people tonight with my 3 core values that I promise I will attack on day 1. Public safety, absolutely. Core city services and debt reduction. I promise you that those will be my top 3 priorities. I believe our best days are still ahead. We have so much to look forward to. I humbly ask that you vote Michelle Turnberg for mayor on June 9th because we are at a turning point to save our city. Get out and vote.
You know, I'm the son of a farmer. And one day coming from the farm, I got swept away by the current. I thought I would die. That was a day I would never forget in my life. I just needed somebody to throw me the lifeline and save me from the flood. You see, when you're drowning, it doesn't matter who your rescuer is. It doesn't matter what they look like or what they sound like. You just want to live. Fargo is drowning in debt. Fargo is drowning in mismanagement. Fargo is drowning in crime. Fargo is drowning in a city leadership that does not listen. A vote for me is a vote for safe streets. A vote for me is a safe for affordable housing. A vote for me is support for our law enforcement. It's support for our seniors and veterans. A vote for me is support for our young people. A vote for me is support for that person living with mental health, with that person struggling with homelessness. Vote for me and let's together build a Fargo that works for all. Thank you for coming tonight.
We thank you 5 for taking the evening to spend some time with us, for being prepared, your willingness to participate. I'm sure this is the beginning of many conversations we'll have for the next 49 days.
Our audience has been eager. A round of applause for all of our candidates. Shape the kind of community we want to live in so many ways. What we've heard tonight tonight demonstrates the challenges and the opportunities that are facing the city of Fargo. You can see not always easy answers, but the conversation is an important part of how a community moves forward. And you being informed at home and in our audience here is how it starts.
And if you want to learn more about the candidates at home and here in the audience, there are resources out there. You can go to votefmwf.org. Votefmwf.org. It's an online, nonpartisan voter resource powered by the Chamber's Center for Civic Engagement.
And this evening wouldn't have been possible without collaboration. Again, our sincere thanks to the Fargo Moorhead West Fargo Chamber of Commerce, the Building Industry Association of the Red River Valley, and the Downtown Community Partnership for organizing tonight's event, bringing us all together, and really supporting civil dialogue in our region. We're so grateful to McGuff Construction for sponsoring tonight. We also want to thank our team at WDAY, WDAY Extra, along with the team at Livewire, and everyone watching here at the Fargo Theater and at home.
49 days until the City of Fargo election. Voting is your power. The decision is in your hands. We encourage you to stay informed, to stay engaged, to talk about issues. And it's time for your voice to be heard. That's June 9th. Go vote. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Five, for being here. Best of luck to you until